There are some films you watch as a child that imprint themselves onto your imagination forever. The NeverEnding Story is one of those rare cinematic experiences. For many of us, it was magical, awe-inspiring and deeply comforting, but also genuinely terrifying. Revisiting it as an adult only reinforces just how extraordinary it truly was. Written and directed by Wolfgang Petersen in his first English-language film, The NeverEnding Story was adapted from Michael Ende's 1979 novel. At the time of its release in 1984, it wasn't just another children's fantasy. It was the most expensive film ever produced in Germany, with a budget of 50 million Deutschmark, around $27 million. Petersen had already set a record with Das Wort in 1981, and here he surpassed himself again, proving that European cinema could rival Hollywood spectacle. But this film isn't remembered for its budget, it's remembered for its heart, its fearlessness, and its unforgettable imagery. At its core, the premise is deceptively simple. A lonely, bullied boy named Bastian Balthazar Bucks discovers a mysterious book that transports him into a world of fantasia. There, the warrior Atreyu is tasked with saving the land from a consuming force known as the Nothing, while the childlike empress slowly fades away. What makes the film so powerful isn't just the fantasy elements, it's the emotional weight beneath them. The Nothing isn't merely a villain, it represents despair, loss of imagination, and existential emptiness. For a kids' movie, that's remarkably heavy material. The film doesn't talk down to its audience, it challenges them. It presents grief, fear, sacrifice, and consequence without softening the edges. That bravery is what sets it apart from many modern family films that often sanitize danger and dilute emotional stakes. No discussion of the NeverEnding Story is complete without mentioning the Swamp of Sadness. The moment where Atreyu's horse, Artak, succumbs in despair and sinks into the swamp is one of the most devastating scenes in cinema history. Particularly for young viewers, generations of children were generally traumatized by it. Hathaway, who played Atreyu, has joked at conventions that he places baskets of dollar bills on his table and invites anyone who needed therapy after that scene to take $1. Importantly, despite persistent rumors, the horse did not die during filming. Wolfgang Petersen confirmed the animal survived. The emotional impact of the scene is precisely what makes it unforgettable. Today, many studios might consider such a moment too much for children, but that scene is what gives the story its depth. It introduces the idea that despair has consequences. It teaches resilience through loss. It respects its audience enough to let them feel something profound. While this isn't primarily an acting showcase, the performances anchor the fantasy. Barrett Oliver as Bastian occasionally leans towards the melodramatic, perhaps a touch over the top at moments, but it works with the heightened fairy tale tone of the film. His vulnerability is believable, especially when he confronts grief over his mother's death. Hathaway as Atreyu, however, is exceptional. He carries the hero's journey with confidence and emotional clarity. Hathaway endured real physical danger during filming. He was thrown from a horse during training and stepped on. During the Swamp of Sadness sequence, his leg became trapped in an underwater lift mechanism, pulling him beneath the surface. He was reportedly unconscious when he was rescued. Later, during the climactic fight with Gmork, a claw from the animatronic wolf nearly cost him an eye, and the robot's weight knocked the wind out of him. The shot was complete in a single take due to safety concerns. Tammy Stronach as the childlike empress delivers one of the most iconic images in 1980s fantasy cinema. Her wide-eyed innocence, ethereal presence, and soft voice created a character who feels both fragile and eternal. Interestingly, she lost her 2 front teeth shortly before filming and had to wear prosthetic teeth, which caused a slight lisp until she adjusted it. Stronach did not act again until 2008, a 24-year gap, which only adds to the mystique of her performance. She now teaches a dance school in New York. While Barrett Oliver would give up acting altogether and became a photographic historian. And Hathaway stepped away from acting, working in finance and the tattoo industry, but returned occasionally to act in some projects. And then of course there's Alan Oppenheimer, whose voice work is extraordinary. He voices Falkor, Gmork, the rockbiter, the narrator, and even more. His performance as Gmork alone is chilling, philosophical, menacing, and layered. Falkor, meanwhile, became one of the most beloved creatures in fantasy cinema. A life-size Falkor prop still resides at the Bavarian Film Park in Munich, where fans can climb onto his back for photos. Now, part of the film's enduring charm lies in its practical effects. Before CGI-dominated cinema, filmmakers relied on animatronics, miniatures, puppetry, and ingenuity. The physicality of the sets and creatures gives Fantasia a tactile authenticity that modern digital environments often lack. The rockbiter feels heavy and real. Falkor has texture and presence. Gmork's animatronic form is genuinely intimidating. There's a craftsmanship here, a sense that artists had to problem solve creatively rather than digitally erase problems in post-production. It gives the film a grounded handmade magic that defines 80s fantasy cinema. Now, Limahl's theme song, The NeverEnding Story, is pure 80s magic, synth-driven, soaring, and unforgettable. Interestingly, the song initially underperformed in the United States, only becoming a hit following the film's home video release in cable TV airings. Decades later, experienced another resurgence when featured in Stranger Things Season 3. Limahl, formerly the lead singer of Kajagoogoo, recorded the track shortly after being fired from the band, reportedly by phone. Ironically, in some regions, the music video credits Kajagoogoo, depending on their local popularity, despite the band having no involvement in the recording whatsoever. The song endures because it perfectly captures the film's spirit, yearning, magical, and emotionally sincere. Now, not all stories behind the film were celebratory. Author Michael Ende initially collaborated as the script advisor and was enthusiastic about the adaptation. However, as the production progressed, he became deeply unhappy with deviations from his novel. He requested his name be removed from the opening credits, though it remains in the end credits, demanded a title change or a halt to production, and eventually filed a lawsuit, which he lost. Ende famously described the film as a gigantic melodrama of kitsch, commerce, plush, and plastic. Yet for many viewers, the film stands proudly on its own as a distinct interpretation, not a replacement for the novel, but a cinematic reimagining. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about the NeverEnding Story is how seriously it treats childhood. It doesn't cushion fear, it doesn't dilute sadness, it doesn't simplify existential ideas. The nothing is terrifying because it's abstract, a force born from lost imagination and despair. Gmork's speech about humans losing hope is philosophically dense for a children's film. The death of Artax is not reversed by magic, consequences remain. Modern fantasy often softens impact in pursuit of broader ratings and marketability. This film does the opposite. It trusts its audience, even young viewers, to handle the complexity, and that trust is why it lasts. Watching the NeverEnding Story again as an adult is a privilege. The nostalgia is powerful, yes, but beyond that lies genuine cinematic achievement. It's imaginative without being frivolous, emotional without being manipulative, dark without being cynical. It's a real fantasy, handcrafted, heartfelt, and daring. It may not be perfect, some performances are overly heightened, some effects show their age, the pacing occasionally wanders, but its ambition, sincerity, and emotional bravery are undeniable. Few films capture the wonder and terror of childhood imagination so honestly. The NeverEnding Story gets a 9 out of 10, a story that will last the test of time. So what did you think of the NeverEnding Story? Please let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.